Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Inside Spurs channel. Hope we're well. Hope we're looking after ourselves on this lovely Monday afternoon. It's glorious this weekend. Sorry, not this weekend, start of the week. It was a glorious weekend as well. Obviously, FA Cup final, for once, was actually quite a decent final. Normally, they're quite a miserable affair, 0-0, 1-0 kind of vibe. İlkay Gundogan decided to just completely change that script, so that was a decent little game. Obviously, this week got another couple of European Cup finals, which we're looking forward to. Obviously, West Ham being in the Conference League and obviously City versus Inter at the weekend. So football isn't over just yet. It's nearly there, though, so make the most of it for the week. Hope we, after the weekend, hope we look after ourselves. Hope you didn't get as burnt as I did. As you see the crowns, that's one place I decided not to put sunscreen, so I'm an idiot, I know. But anyway, let's jump into today's video. So today's video, we're talking about, obviously, the big man who pretty much looks like within the next 48 hours, he's going to be in charge. He's probably holding up a shirt with his name on the back and all that jazz, okay? We're also talking about a lot of transfers, I think, because now basically the deal has been agreed with Postecoglou. We're going to be looking at really what's going to be happening with the squads. And some interesting news, I can't lie. So anyway, let's jump in. Fabrizio Romano, if you don't know, you don't know anything about transfer rumours. The guy is the main dude. You know, there's other guys like Ornstein, Dan Kirkpatrick, Alistair Gold, all those boys. This is the main guy, all right? And he came out about 7 hours ago and he said, understand Tottenham finally reaching a verbal agreement with Ange Postecoglou as next manager. Been told it will be a 2-year deal with an option for a further season, so potentially valid to June 2026. Next step to get it done, find a way with Celtic for compensation. He goes on to say about 5 hours later, he's already agreed personal terms of the contract with Tottenham, as reported in the morning. Deal until June 2025, with obviously that option included. And then the only steps needed is to get the green light from Celtic. So this is literally done, in my opinion. Let's just confirm it is done. He is the new manager, okay? Unless Celtic somehow prices out of the move, but they're not going to. Which, by the way, congrats to Celtic at the weekend. Obviously, big win against Inverness. I know it was a bit ropey in the last sort of few minutes when Inverness got the goal back to make it 2-1, but obviously that 91st minute winner, well, I say winner, but the 91st minute one just sealed the deal, and it's just, yeah, good. Well done for them. Well done. Great season for Celtic. Absolutely fantastic season. So, first and foremost, fantastic that it's pretty much done and dusted, and it's great that the saga is over. Someone said yes to us as well. That's always nice. We seem to be like the dude at the end of the night that wants to find someone to take home with them. Someone said yes finally. Oh, thank God. We're that weird dude at the end of the bar that people have to say yes to. The only thing that kind of confuses me is we talk about having to rebuild the club with philosophy, style of play, and just sort of make the club healthy again, I guess is the best way to describe it. But give the guy a 2-year deal with an option for a 3rd year. So even if it's a 3-year deal, it's not really putting a ton of faith in him. So I don't know what you expect. I expect the first season to be a rebuild year. I'm not saying that we're going to be finishing 8th, but you're not expecting to, win trophies as much as, as many fans may hope. Don't get me wrong. We're all sitting there, me included. I'd love to win a trophy. Watching that FA Cup at the weekend, it's such a shame how the FA Cup has kind of been downgraded to basically like the League Cup. The FA Cup, in my opinion, in terms of, national level cups, is the best cup in the world. We look at the Premier League as a league, but we look at Champions League being the Champions League and European competition being their own separate entity. The FA Cup is bigger than the Copa del Rey. It's bigger than I don't even know what the League One Cup is. DFB Poke or whatever is the German one. You don't even know the names of them, but everyone knows the FA Cup. It's the best cup in the world to win in terms of your own league, your own country. It doesn't fill me with confidence that he's going to get the real support that he deserves. And every manager that comes in should have the support of any other manager before them. When you think of permanent managers, they should go, the board, the team that work with the board in terms of bringing players in and out should say, who do you like? Who don't you like? Who do you want to get rid of? Who do you think isn't good enough? We should have that ability to kind of get rid of people that we want to get rid of. And we're going to come on to that in a little bit. But a 2-year deal doesn't fill me with that confidence that he's going to get that, if you know what I mean. So we'll have to wait and see. But it's just nice. It is nice that it's going to be done. And, it looks like he really is going to have the ability to hopefully clear out who he wants to clear out. So moving on a little bit into kind of some more transfer news that's come out. A lot's come out today. So don't, I'm not ignoring you. I'm reading it right now as I'm going to read it to you. Okay, so don't think that whatsoever. Dan Kilpatrick has said that he's come out and said that Spurs want him to start imminently. I think if he's going to succeed at any point in his role, then you're going to have to find that he's going to have to start ASAP. I think if you're going to expect to take 2 weeks off, and don't get me wrong, I think he deserves to take the 2 weeks off. Had he been our manager, he'd be able to take those 2 weeks off. He's probably not going to get that opportunity because the season comes around really quickly. Fixtures come out next week. So he's going to have to start imminently. He's going to have to look at the squad, look at the data, get rid of who he wants to get rid of. And he must have an idea in mind of maybe players that he wants to bring in. When you think of, obviously, the players of, James Maddison, Harvey Barnes, that sort of feeling, we're going to have to be able to, obviously, give him that list. He can act on that list, So, will he get that time? I don't know. Hopefully he just comes in and starts, if you know what I mean, okay? Moving on a little bit into the players that might be leaving, okay? When you think of, there's a big long list here, and I'm going to start with the big name on the list, Harry Kane. So I don't know if you know, obviously last sort of few days, Saudi Arabia have been really interested in Karim Benzema. Everyone thought Benzema was leaving. Everyone thought Benzema wasn't leaving. Now Benzema is officially leaving. He's getting a big old deal from Saudi Arabia. And look, do you know what? I'm not going to begrudge him for that, if I'm honest. I think the idea that you ever say, it's a downgrade, it's rubbish. I know you would have already earned quite good generational wealth, but this is generational wealth for many a generation to come. And that's important for people. It's important for building up, when it comes to your family, when you look after loved ones. If you can create a generational wealth, have at it. I'm not going to ever begrudge someone for money. I'm not. Especially when you've played that many years at Real Madrid. Like you think of Ronaldo, played that many years. He went when he was, 36, 37. I don't know off the top of my head. Nor do I care, lads. I can't lie. Benzema obviously being well within his 30s now. Played at the top level for so long. He's won a Ballon d'Or. He's won everything that he wants. Maybe he just wants to take it easy for the next few years. And I'm not going to begrudge him for that. But that's the interesting. It ties in with obviously Harry Kane. Ancelotti said, we do like Harry Kane, and he's been quite respectful. I know in the past, Dan would have gone, we want Harry Kane, and basically tapped him up because he did it with Gareth Bale. Ancelotti said, look, we like Harry Kane, but we like other strikers. We're not going to talk about the other strikers because they're not our players, and that's not fair on the other clubs. And Ancelotti is a class act for that. We know that they like Richarlison. We know that they like, I think they were linked to Vlahovic at one point as well. There's honestly so many strikers they're linked to, and they do need to bring in attacking options like Ancelotti said. But I'm going to be talking about Harry Kane domestically. So obviously he's linked to Man United as well. But this comes from Simon Jones in the Mail Sport. Manchester United have been told by Tottenham that Harry Kane is not for sale. That does not mean their pursuit is over just yet, but the message from Tottenham is clear. And Matt Law obviously has said that Harry Kane is Real Madrid's number one target, but Spurs would demand at least 100 million for their talisman. So obviously we're looking well above the 100 million range. Look, we want Harry Kane to stay in Spurs shirt. We want him to retire at Spurs. We want him to be that club legend. And yes, he wants that number one goal scoring record in England. If he was to go abroad, I was speaking about this today. If he was to go abroad for a couple of years and come back, yes, he might get the record. But does he also want to give himself that buffer? Because there's going to be someone that's going to come in who's going to play in the Prem for 12, 14 years, who's got to score, a decent amount of goals over his time. You could catch Kane in theory. If Kane has the ability actually to kind of get the record and then put distance between himself and Shearer, that record might stand for a very, very long time. Way, way longer than Shearer's record ever stood. For me, Haaland could obviously easily break it, but I don't see him staying at City for long enough to break it. It's one of those ones. I think individually, season by season, yes, he'll break a lot of records, but I don't see him breaking the big one because I don't see him staying around. I see Haaland moving to Real Madrid in a few years' time. Is he going to score 200 goals in that time? I can't see it. I might shoot myself in the foot there if he goes nuclear and scores 50 a season, but I can't see it. So, maybe he wants that. But yeah, if we were going to obviously lose him, it would be Real Madrid. But this idea that people are happy to lose him, I don't understand it. We as a club should be thinking as a club. We shouldn't be thinking about the player. No offence. I don't care who it is. The club is going to be that's who we support. We don't support Harry Kane. We should want him to stay. We shouldn't begrudge him the move, but we should want him to stay. We should be happy. Oh, if he was to leave, I'd be happy if he went there. No, I wouldn't be happy if he went anywhere. There's no, like, I wasn't happy if Bale left. I wasn't happy when Modric or Dembele left. I wasn't happy at all. Yes, I'd be happy for him as a person, but I wouldn't be happy as a club. And that's the difference, okay? Moving on to some lower key players. I'm going to be nice. I'm not going to say anything bad about any players. But Matt Law, obviously, has been quite active today. If you don't know Matt Law, massive tier 1 source, okay? A big squad clear out is planned with Spurs, and obviously Postecoglou having that ability to do it. I'm going to go through a few of the players, okay? I don't know if any of these may shock people, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, right now, his main priority will be speaking to Harry Kane. That's one of the first things he'll do, and that came from Dan Kilpatrick as well. We'll look at this. There's a few names that won't surprise people. So Hugo Lloris, obviously going back to France potentially. Saudi Arabia have also been interested in him. He's obviously an option. Ivan Perisic to Inter Milan is a very distinct possibility. I'll talk about that in a second. The futures of Davinson Sanchez and Ryan Sessegnon are in doubt. And bids would be listened to for Ben Davies and Eric Dyer. And he's also looking to sell Lo Celso, Reguilon and Winks. And he also, when it comes to Ndombele, it came out and said sources have indicated that Postecoglou may wish to take a closer look at Ndombele before a decision on his future is made, which I think is smart when he was a record signing. He's still young, he still has the ability. You may want to just sort of see it yourself, see if you can get to him, in terms of pushing those buttons to get him moving. If you can't, then yes, move him on. So Hugo Lloris, obviously for me, he's been an amazing servant, and if he was to leave, yes, it would be a sad day in terms of it's kind of like an end of an era, but it's been that time, and we should help him get to the club that he wants to help to get to. We're going to get a few quid out of him. I'm not saying going to get 40, 50 million, but 5 million or so. It's a little bit in the bank. That never hurts. Ivan Perisic to Inter Milan. That wouldn't surprise me. He wants to go back. Inter Milan don't want to pay his wages. And then for me, I'd say to Inter Milan, you can have him, but you're paying his wages. And we're not funding the move for you just to take him back. He either takes a pay cut to go to you, or you pay his wages. It's one of the two for me. Perisic can still play in the Premier League, so it's not like we would be holding on to a player that can't do it. He can do it. But for me, if you want him, the deal is there. Pay his wages or get him to take a pay cut. It's up to you what you do there. But we shouldn't be funding a move for him. Not at all. Because he is a player that is really wanted. It's not a player that we're having to kind of ship out the back door. Inter Milan are knocking at the front door for him. In terms of the Sanchez and Sessegnon move, I think in terms of Sanchez, he's been here long enough. It probably is about time for the move for him. Obviously, it's quite disgusting what happened really to him this season with the booing and things like that. When we think of the AC Milan game, it wasn't his fault he was brought on. We shouldn't be booing that. That's unacceptable. Cheering when he got subbed off after coming on as a sub, shouldn't be doing that as a fan base. It's quite disgusting in my opinion. But he's been here a very, very long time. He had great spells, great flashes, but has kind of just hit this plateau where it's just not enough. And that's the best way I'm going to describe it. It's just not enough of that higher quality level where we want to go. So again, it'll be that situation where, look, let's just cash in on him. Let's get a few mil. You could probably fetch 10 million for him, I reckon, somewhere in there, being realistic. Move him on, He's still quite young. He'll still get good game time at a decent club. He'll still probably play for a club that gets European football as well. It's not like he's a bad defender. He's just not a top 6 defender, in my opinion. Sessegnon, now that's an interesting one. Being young, being that we spent obviously like 30, 35 million on him, being a player that can play all up and down the left wing, homegrown, English, all those things are really great. He cannot stay fit for long enough. That's the big issue with Sessegnon, is fitness. And I don't want to have to bring through a player and go, yeah, but you're only going to have him for about 4 or 5 months of the season because he's going to be injured for the rest of it. Then is it worth it? It's just not. Now, if got a genie or I've got a magic crystal ball and kind of can see the future and they say, no, he's going to stay fit, then as a backup to Destiny, would it be a bad option? Maybe not. But at the same time, do you ever see him being the player that you think he should be? And there's the issue alongside the injuries. For me, there is a player there. I think there's a player. There's talent. He's still very young. But the injuries are the big drawback. And if we can get some decent money for him, 10, 15 million, there'll be someone coming up I'm not going to say Luton are going to have that money. But you look at Sheffield United would probably look at him because they've got the money to spend. Burnley have got money to spend. Maybe they look at him. We can get 15 million, English tax included, obviously. Maybe it's even more English tax. I'm not saying it is, but you know what I mean. Then we should probably look to cash in there. Use that money wisely to fund other areas with quality that are going to benefit us now. And the big thing for me, when we look at these players that could be sold, we don't need a big squad this year. We're not going to be playing twice a week every single week. There'll be odd weeks here and there. But we can work with a smaller squad and then add quality next year with players coming in to really boost the squad when we come to, maybe getting European football again next year. In terms of Ben Davies and Eric Dyer, for me, they've been here a long time. They've had great spells. They've shown flashes. I mean, Eric Dyer playing centre defensive mid alongside Moussa Dembele was really good. He had spells at centre-back with Toby and Jan and the three-back and was solid. Had spells even last year where he was solid. But he always reverts back to the mean. And for me, it's like Davinson Sanchez. He's never going to be that level you want when you want to try and fight for trophies on all fronts. He's not that player. We could do better. And we should look to do better as well. And again, he's an English international. I don't think he's on crazy wages. Yes, I think he might have only 1 year left on his deal, whatever it might be, but you might get 15 million. You might get even 20 million for him. And again, look to cash in there because he's not going to have market value in a year's time or 2 years' time. I don't think he's going to have the market value that he might have now. Last summer was obviously the summer he probably had the most value. This summer, obviously, that's dropped a bit because of performances, but we should look to cash in here. Ben Davies, been on here a long, long time. Has versatility in a 3-back or 5-back or a 4-back playing elsewhere, left back, left wing back, and left centre back. He's always a guy that's going to give you a 6 out of 10 pretty much every game. But why are we looking for 6 out of 10s? We should be looking at 7 out of 10s every game, 7.5, 8s. He's never going to give you that regularly. He'll give you the odd game here and there, but he won't give it regularly. And for Ben Davies, because of his versatility, and he's I think 29. Don't hold me to that. You might get 10, 15 million out of him as well. And again, if you're looking at, let's say 10 for Sanchez, let's say 15 for Cess, let's say just 10 for Dyer. I'm not even going to go major on that. And maybe say 15 million total for Davies. You're looking at 50 million for those 4 players. 12.5 million on average, which I think is fair. Good money. It's good money. And don't forget those wages that you're clearing off as well. Players that you're bringing in and the players you're getting rid of, wages will probably add up quite nicely. So you're not going to be footing too many higher a bill, In terms of Lo Celso, Reguilon and Winks, so Reguilon and Winks I can't really see having much market value. Winks maybe, purely because he's English, but he did have some good spells at Sampdoria last year. Nothing major. I'm not going to sit here and was like, yeah, he was unbelievable. He wasn't, but he had good spells. Reguilon barely played last year at all for Atletico. Lo Celso actually does have value. I'm not going to sit here and slag him off. I think he's been all right at Villarreal. He probably does have some decent 15 to 20 million pound value. I know that Villa really want him. That came from Fabrizio Romano, that Villa really want him. I think Villarreal probably would take him back happily. Does Pau Torres... I said last year Pau Torres could be in that deal. Is it finally the summer that Pau Torres is in that deal? For me, I'd want the other Spanish left centre-back. I'd rather Laporte. But, if Laporte definitely isn't moving for City, then Pau Torres is a good centre-half. Bastoni we're not going to get. So that could be the option there, So we'll have to wait and see in terms of the players leaving. I do expect Perisic and Lloris definitely to leave. I'd expect Lo Celso to leave this summer. Sanchez probably. I could see him maybe keeping Cess, but that might be a Levy thing, kind of going, look, homegrown, he's already here, he's quite young, let's see what we can get out of him, and that sort of thing. But in the Dembele situation, I hope he gets given time. There is a player there. I want to see if Postecoglou can kind of push those buttons in the way that makes him into the player that we all expect him to be. I think going forward, fantastic. It's just going back the other way. Ndombele presses and presses high. That suits if we want to play a high-pressing team. But when you have to dig in, he's just not that guy. But if you can get 10% to 15% more out of him in that regard, you've got a player there and a really good one as well. So, I don't know. But let's be honest, let's just happy we've got a manager coming in now. We've got a manager coming in who wants to play attacking football. And if we want to play attacking football in that system, and I'll do this in another video about what we should expect from that attacking system. Also, who might suit that system coming in players-wise. But I think about this, guys. We don't need a massive squad this year. We're not playing in Europe. We're not going to be playing every week, twice a week, 3 times a week even. we can actually work with a smaller squad, 22, when you think of 22, two in every position in a way, some youngsters coming through as well. I think Devine would be a really nice one to see come through. We could be looking at and going, right, let's work with these guys. The coach gets to spend a whole week training with them as well, which I think will be really good this year. And kind of go, this is what I want from you guys. Let's get going. Let's do this. Let's do that. And I'll go in another video about that. I'm not talking about now. I think that sets us better up for next season. I think we're going to have a really good season next year if we allow this guy the time to implement and bring in the players that he wants. The 2-year deal with the option with a third is a bit worrying. And it makes me think Levy's going to have too much power in who's coming, who's staying. Bite the bullet. I know the balance sheets won't be happy if you're getting rid of players that you spent a lot of money on that you're going to get nothing back from. But if you're getting rid of 180 grand of Perisic's wages, I mean, Lloris is probably within the hundreds. You're getting rid of that. Dyer, Davies, Sanchez, Lo Celso, Winks, regular. You could be saving £500,000 a week just on wages alone. Then on top of that, you're getting transfer fees. You could be getting 50, 60, 70, 80 million for all of that. I'm not saying you would, but you know what I mean? Somewhere within that range. It's a lot of money saved, and that might even fund this transfer activity that we want with a little bit of our own money on top with not wages, but with transfer fees. Wages-wise, we shouldn't really be going over the top of what we're getting rid of. They should balance nicely, get a lot of money in terms of the sales from those guys, and then we add in a little bit of our own on top. The summer's done. Actually, it balances out quite nicely. But anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. Hope well. Like the video, obviously, if you did like it. There's also that. Drop a comment about who you may want to stay out of that list, who you want to keep, who you want to sell, what you hope from the new Postecoglou reign. Drop a subscribe if you are new. It's been a bit mad recently. There's been lots of views, lots of comments, lots of new subscribers. So welcome if you are new, and bell notification for more to come. But anyway, lads, that's the end of the video. I hope you look after yourselves, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care, lads.